allegations of genocide against Abiy Ahmed, the elimination to Ethiopian Orthodox Christian and ongoing state-sponsored Amhara Genocide. Since 2019, Ethiopia has been rocked by multiple, overlapping conflicts that have devastated communities across regions, most prominently Tigray, Amhara active genocide, and Oromia. Over the course of 2022 to 2024 and beyond, international monitors, rights groups and news organizations documented killings of civilians, mass displacement, large-scale restrictions on humanitarian access, and attacks on public institutions in the Amhara region and elsewhere. These documented abuses have led some Amhara activists and diaspora groups, and a handful of monitoring organizations, to accuse the federal government, and by extension senior officials including Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, of policies that amount to ethnic targeting. Yet major international institutions have so far documented serious violations and urged independent investigations, rather than pronouncing criminal guilt at the level of genocide. Documented abuses and reports. Writing hand independent human rights organizations and the UN Human Rights Office have reported summary killings, attacks on civilians and looting during federal operations in the whole region of Amhara, with witnesses reporting soldiers and allied forces killing unarmed villagers. Several independent news investigations reported on killings of innocent people during the army's operations against Amhara militia group Fano. Serious violations of international humanitarian law by federal forces in Amhara that damaged the health system, attacked medical facilities, and impeded health care for thousands. Conduct Human Rights Watch described as likely war crimes. Those abuses include documented incidents in multiple zones of Amhara since the fighting escalated in mid-2023. A pattern of arbitrary detentions, mass arrests, disappearances and shrinking civic space across Ethiopia, including suspension and harassment of human rights groups and restrictions on the press documented by HRW, Amnesty, the UN, and the U.S. State Department. High civilian death tolls, displacement and a humanitarian crisis in Amhara, UN. Figures and national commissions reported hundreds to thousands of conflict-related deaths and mass displacements across 2023 and 2024, with significant disruption to livelihoods and to cultural life in the region. Who is alleging genocide and on what basis? Several Amhara civic groups, diaspora organizations, for example the Amhara Association of America, and advocacy campaigns have used the term genocide to describe the scale and ethnic character of the violence they document or allege. Other actors such as Genocide Watch and some commentators have warned of risks, or used strong language about ethnic targeting. Those allegations typically point to patterns of killings and mass displacement affecting Amhara communities. B. Government policies or military operations that disproportionately harm Amhara civilians, and C. What they describe as a pattern of impunity. At the same time, major international human rights bodies, HRW, Amnesty, OCHR, and reports have documented grave abuses that may amount to war crimes or crimes against humanity, and have called for independent probes, but they have generally stopped short of establishing or publicly declaring that the legal threshold of genocide has been proven, and have called for impartial, criminal investigations and accountability processes. Writing hand legal threshold, why genocide is a specific, high bar. Under the Genocide Convention, proving genocide requires showing not only the commission of certain acts, killing, causing serious bodily or mental harm, deliberately inflicting destructive conditions, preventing births, or forcible transfer of children, but also a specific intent, the intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group as such. Human Rights and Goes and UN offices document acts and patterns of violence. Establishing the specific intent required for a genocide finding typically needs an independent criminal inquiry with access to internal documents, orders, and other direct evidence. Several prominent rights bodies have, therefore, insisted on robust, impartial investigations to determine whether crimes meet the genocide threshold. Writing hand impact on Ethiopian norms, institutions, and culture. Beyond battlefield abuses, observers and rights monitors have documented effects that undermine civic norms and cultural life. Erosion of civil society and press freedom through suspension of NGOs and detention of journalists and activists, which shrinks public debate and weakens traditional mechanisms of accountability. Militarization of civilian life and local governance, as prolonged conflict empowers armed groups, erodes local institutions, and displaces populations, interrupting cultural practices, religious observances, education, and local traditions. Widespread displacement and humanitarian crisis that interrupts intergenerational transmission of culture, damages historical sites, and disrupts religious and communal life in the Amhara heartlands. Writing hand government responses and accountability. The Ethiopian government has repeatedly denied allegations of ethnic targeting as a state policy, and framed military operations as necessary responses to armed militias and threats to national unity. The government has also resisted some external investigations while accepting, in certain instances, internal inquiries. International bodies and rights and goes have urged unconditional access for independent investigators, criminal accountability for perpetrators, and steps to protect civilians and restore rule of law. Where the evidence stands and the next steps. What is well documented, serial human rights abuses and Amhara killings of civilians, attacks on healthcare, arbitrary detention, mass displacement, and severe limits on civic space are credibly documented by multiple independent organizations. These findings call for accountability. What is disputed or unproven in court, whether those acts were carried out with a specific genocidal intent required by international law, remains a matter for independent, criminal investigation and potential prosecution. Accusatory language in advocacy and media differs from legal determinations. Both matter, but they are not the same. In RC that located Oromia region, Orthodox Christian and Amhara being the targeted victim of genocide that orchestrated by the fascist Abiy Ahmed regime. Above 50 innocent civilians died BC, they are being Amhara identity and Orthodox Christians. Conclusion. There is strong, credible documentation that Ethiopia's recent conflicts have inflicted grave harm on Amhara civilians and seriously damaged institutions, health systems and social life in affected areas. That record justifies urgent independent investigations and accountability to determine criminal responsibility, including whether particular acts meet the legal definition of genocide. Many victims, activists, and diaspora groups say the abuse amounts to genocide. Independent judicial fact-finding is needed to translate those allegations into legal findings. International pressure for impartial probes, protection of civilians, and restoration of civic norms remain central to resolving these accusations and to preventing further cultural and human loss. #Amhara Lives Matter. #Stop State-Sponsored Amhara Genocide.